Welcome to Finance Deep Dive. Ever look at your bank account and wonder where all the money is going? Prices for everything just keep climbing, right? Well, the real reason might not be down the street at your local store, but thousands of miles away. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden force connecting global politics, the price of oil, and the inflation that's hitting all of us in the wallet. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to get our heads around just how critical oil is. We're not just talking about gas for your car. This stuff is literally the lifeblood of the entire global economy.
And that's really the key here. We think of it as fuel, sure, but its influence stretches into every single corner of our lives, from the plastics in our phones to the fertilizer that grows our food. And this is a fantastic way to think about it. If oil is the bloodstream, it's also the thermostat. When the price of oil goes up, the whole global economy just heats up with inflation. And when it cools down, so does everything else. It sets the temperature for everybody. So why is that thermostat cranked so high right now? Well, it's not just that more people want oil. The real story is about geopolitics putting a massive squeeze on the world's supply. What we're seeing is basically a perfect storm. You've got tensions flaring up across the Middle East, conflicts messing with major shipping routes, and then you have the big one, deliberate decisions by OPEC+, that's the powerful club of oil-producing countries, to cut back on how much oil they're pumping. And the power they have is just staggering. I mean, look at this. When OPEC Plus says they're cutting production by just 1 million barrels a day, the market flips out almost instantly. You see prices shoot up by $5, maybe even $10 a barrel, just like that. And if you want to understand the scale of their influence, just look at this number, 48%. Let that sink in for a second. Nearly half of all the oil we know exists in the world is right there, in the Middle East. That gives the region an absolutely incredible amount of leverage. And right at the heart of all that power, you'll find one single, incredibly vulnerable spot on the map, a tiny little strip of water called the Strait of Hormuz. Just think about this for a moment. 20%, 1/5 of the entire world's daily oil supply has to squeeze through this one narrow waterway. So you can imagine any disruption there, any conflict. It doesn't just cause a ripple, it causes a tsunami across global markets. And this leads to this really fascinating thing in the market called a risk premium. See, traders don't even need a real supply disruption to happen. Just the fear, just the threat that something could go wrong in a place like the Strait of Hormuz, that alone is enough for them to start adding extra dollars to the price of a barrel of oil. Okay, so we've got a tight supply, we've got geopolitics, and we've got high prices. But how does that actually connect from some trading floor in London to the price of milk in your fridge? Well, this is what we call the inflation domino effect. Economists have a name for this. They call oil a first-round inflator. Now, what on earth does that mean? It means a jump in oil prices isn't a small thing. It's the first massive domino that falls, and it's guaranteed to knock over prices across the entire economy. It's a really simple and kind of brutal chain reaction. Step 1, oil prices spike. Okay. Step 2, suddenly it costs way more for businesses to do anything, to power their factories, to fuel their delivery trucks, you name it. And what do you think they do with those higher costs? You guessed it. Step 3, they pass them right along to you and me. And hey, this isn't just a theory, the numbers back it up. A sustained $10 increase in the price of oil adds about 0.2 percentage points to the annual inflation rate in the US. And in Europe, which depends even more on imported energy, the effect is even bigger. This is the kind of stuff that forces governments to act. Now, as you can imagine, this whole situation doesn't affect everyone the same way. Not at all. High oil prices create a really clear divide between winners and losers, and for the people in charge of the economy, it creates a huge dilemma. On one side, you have the clear winners, the big oil exporters. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Russia, they are raking in massive profits. It fills their government coffers and gives them way more power on the world stage. But then you have the losers, countries that have to import their oil, like in Europe or Japan or India. They get slammed with massive import bills, and that pain gets passed directly to their citizens. So this lands a giant, messy problem right on the doorstep of the world's most powerful financial players, the central banks. What are you supposed to do when inflation is being caused by something completely outside of your control?
It is the classic no-win situation. Seriously, if they raise interest rates to try and cool down inflation, they risk slamming the brakes on the economy and maybe even causing a recession. But if they keep rates low to try and keep the economy growing, they risk letting inflation just take off and get totally out of control. It's an economic tightrope walk with no safety net.
So where does all of this leave us? Let's boil it all down. Because despite all of the talk about electric cars and green energy, the reality of right now, today, is crystal clear.
There's a saying that just nails it perfectly. The world doesn't just move on dollars, it moves on oil. The dollar might be the currency we use, but oil is the actual fuel that makes the entire global machine turn. And look, new technologies are coming, and clean energy is absolutely the future. But that's the future, it's not the now. For the foreseeable future, our whole global system is still fundamentally hooked on oil. And that leaves us with a very stark, very simple reality. In an economy that runs on oil, the ultimate power doesn't belong to the tech giants or even the biggest banks. It belongs to whoever controls the flow.
If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. It really does motivate us to keep posting.